I'd like to acknowledge that I speak tonight from the land of the Camaragal people. And I'd like to pay my respects to the elders past, present and emerging, and also to any Aboriginal people who may be watching this program at any point. And welcome to all of you. So tonight's topic is exploring the extraordinary power of mind. And I thought tonight I'd begin with the work of the fabulous work of Dr. Masaru Emoto. I don't know whether I'm pronouncing that properly, but if you're not familiar with Dr. Emoto, he was a Japanese scientist who studied the molecular structure of water. And in the first instance, he wanted to know whether human thoughts and emotions have any impact on water. And he discovered through a whole set of experiments that he and the people who worked with him in his labs did. He discovered that when water was exposed to different human emotions and thoughts, the molecular structure of the water changed, revealing that the water that we drink and use every single day of our lives has memory. His experiments were done by exposing the water to external influences or impressing a thought or feeling on a container of water, then instantly freezing a droplet of it. So what Dr. Emoto was doing, first of all, he put some water. His whole lab was sort of set up for these experiments, and he had a cryogenic freezer there. So he's using cryogenics to freeze the water instantly. And the first droplet that he showed had been microwaved. And now I've got photos of all these droplets to show you, but I can't open it. I'm sorry. Anyway, it was just ended up just a blob after being in the microwave. He then exposed water to a mobile phone, and that water, that droplet got quite a chaotic appearance, quite fragmented and chaotic. And then the third experiment, the words thank you, were spoken to the water, and it came out, the droplet was frozen, and then they took that droplet out of the cryo freezer, put it under the microscope, and this beautiful crystal had formed. And so in all these experiments, different thoughts and different things were said to the water. And when something really negative was impressed on the water, that droplet just looked awful. And when something really beautiful was said to the water, compassion and wisdom, these beautiful, beautiful designs formed in that droplet of water. And so interestingly, just isn't having the impact without the pictures to show you. I'm sorry, because they're so amazing when you see these crystals and how they formed. But he did. They did a Buddhist prayer over the water, and like before and after the Buddhist prayer, and showing the change before and after. And it was quite, really quite a stunning change. And the interesting thing is, now I'm going to talk a bit about sound, that the frequency of prayer uttered in any language, researchers have shown that the frequency of prayer in any language at all is 8 hertz, the vibrational frequency. And 8 hertz also is the frequency of the oscillation of the Earth's magnetic field. And so a prayer spoken with love over food, because, in a number of religions, prayer is spoken prior to eating at the dinner table. Christians do it. The Jewish people do it. And various other, the Hindus do it. Various and sundry people in their certain religious practices do it. And so a prayer spoken with love over food before eating affects the water in the food. Now, water is a primary ingredient in food and in our bodies, because our bodies are around about 60% water. And that can drop slightly as we age, but not that much. And so the water in our food and in our bodies is structurally altered by prayer, and of course by meditation, because Dr. Emoto also used meditation. He was, I think he's a Buddhist. And it's structurally altered for the better. So food that is offered to the god or the prophet or the whoever before we eat will be quite vibrationally different to food that is not offered in prayer or meditation, or just not offered at all. And so Dr. Emoto then moved on to experiments with music and water. And I really want to show you these slides because they're really funny. So the first experiment was with classical music, and he played Bach to the water, and Mozart and various other composers. And the water produced these absolutely beautiful crystals, really intricate lacework, beautiful, beautiful crystals. And then he played it some hard rock. Oh, the crystal was just, oh. So, and then the words love and gratitude were, those thoughts and those words were put into the water. And, the most fabulous crystal emerged from that. And so what his experiments showed us not only the power of our thoughts and our feelings and our energy frequency, which of course our feelings and our thoughts have a frequency, have an energetic frequency, they are energy. So they've showed us that water is a mirror of ourself, leaving strong structural impressions in and altering matter. And I would suggest that it's not just water, but probably all matter. Therefore, if I can make myself peaceful, I can make the world peaceful. Because water is the basic principle of everything. If every person were to have a peaceful mind, then the whole universe would become peaceful. If we talk, there've been in the past, people have written books and so on and talked a lot about having, talking to their plants. And because our plants are mostly water as well, if we are to talk lovingly to our plants or to pray or meditate over the plants, they will respond because they are a high percentage of water. Or if we were to pray or meditate or put beautiful, loving, positive thoughts and feelings into the water before we water the plant, which is what they did in Findhorn, they got these amazing, grew this amazing stuff. They still are. And I don't know if you've read about Findhorn up in Scotland, the community in Scotland, but basically they grow things out of rock where there's, it's really barren. And so if we impress the water we consume with love and gratitude and positive thoughts and feelings, it will heal us and it will transform us. Well, it will support that process hugely. Now, there was a time at which they were having a serious drought in Japan. This is years ago. I think it's in the 90s. And so Dr. Emoto's meditation group, well, he took them to this lake, and the lake had become completely toxic with blue and green algae. And it was after, it was sort of during this really long drought. And so they dedicated, this day to be by the lake praying and meditating beside the lake and chanting. And I'm pretty sure he's a Buddhist. I may be wrong, but I'm pretty sure. And so they went into the evening and then eventually, they went home. The next morning, all that algae bloom had completely disappeared. Amazing, eh? And finally, back to the sound spectrum, because they were also chanting Om and other chants. And so NASA scientists, and this is in, the last decade or so, have been able to develop very, very sophisticated sound equipment that has been sent into space on satellites and so on. And they've been able to pick up a sound that vibrates through the universe. And it comes from the sun. And I've heard this sound. I don't know if any of you have. but I have heard this sound, and it sounds exactly like a Buddhist choir of men chanting Om. It's a really deep, deep, intense vibration. It's a really beautiful sound. And if you, I don't know, if you Google sound of the universe or something like that, you might be able to get it. And so Dr. Emoto showed us that the power of our thoughts and how our positive feelings and thoughts have an extraordinary capacity to heal the planet, to heal ourselves, to heal nature, and to heal the environment, which has a hugely composed of water. Water's in everything. That the power of our thoughts has this amazing capacity to transform and change our own DNA and the DNA of all matter, and to thereby change the world that we live in. Scientists say the universe is increasing. But the universe is endless and unlimited. It is not increasing. But the scientists' knowledge is increasing. So their knowledge is increasing. They know a little bit more, but they think the universe is increasing. Actually, it's not. It's just endless, unlimited. And so life force is in everything, including all molecules and atoms. And some life forces, there are many life forces, and some life forces are stronger than others. For instance, the strongest life force, anyone want to guess what the strongest life force is?
A soul? The energy,
Yes.
vibration of a soul?
Correct.
Vibration.
Mammals, sentient beings, have the strongest vibration of all life forces. And so around the Earth, there are layers that have different life forces. There is, for instance, and you'll know about this one, the ozone layer, which has developed holes due to greenhouse gases and so on. And those holes in the ozone layer are causing a sort of chemical effect with the CO2, etc., which is playing havoc on Earth because we're not protected from the radiation of the sun where those holes are. And there's many of them, and they're getting bigger and bigger and bigger, particularly over Australia. It's very bad. We have, I think, the biggest hole in the ozone is over Australia. And so the ozone layer is life force. And there are other different layers of life force as well around the planet. And they're all interrelated. They all have something to do with one another. And none can exist without the other. So they're all part of the wholeness and perfection of the universe, as is God and as are we. Nothing is separate and nothing is excluded from that wholeness. And in the future times, we will, as we did in the past, we will automatically know all these things when all of our mind is fully conscious and whole, and energy is at its fullness, at its fullest point. And so it is the power within the universe that actually transforms matter, and it can be no other way. Technology, which, we have a lot of it hanging around our houses and places of work, etc. nowadays, and out in the environment as well. Technology actually causes a disarray of molecules in the environment and in the body. And as Dr. Emoto revealed through his experiments, meditation changes this effect, both in the body and the environment. And when transformation occurs on a huge scale, the universe will assist. This is the real power of the mind. And those who learn how to purify their mind and use it for world transformation may be few in number, but a few powerful minds are all that is needed to do this work, to do this, to make this happen. And their hearts hear and experience the deep knowing beyond sound. This deep knowing is present in the silence and in the stillness. The busy mind that is constantly distracted by technology or by something else, by busyness, whatever, cannot come near it. Meditation empowers our ability to go deep, very deeply into the silence. And this is what is required for a strategic number of souls to go in and deeply penetrate the silence and the stillness. But of course, old thought and behaviour patterns cling to us tightly because the mind thinks it will die without the freedom to do whatever it wants, whatever it wishes. All of our mental constructs are in the past or the future and can even take form in the past or the future, which, as many of us realise, is the same thing. Our heart and intuition live in the present. Our heart and intuition live in a different dimension to the mind. But there is no food for thought here, not in the present. Maya, which is another word for illusion, is a powerful enemy. She and the mind are great allies. Well, they're almost one and the same, like shared consciousness. This is why it is so important for us to learn how to use our heart and our intuition, because the heart thinks independently of the mind and the heart energy is pure, whereas the energy that comes from the mind, it's a much, much smaller energy field and a much lower energy field than the heart. And that's because the mind is hijacked by ego. So today, ego and mind basically are, as we hear, those of us who take the Raj Yoga morning class will hear constantly that Maya is illusion and that it colours can really, really have an immense influence on our thinking. So many people exist only in their mind. It's all they do, and they spin around and around and around. And this is a way to avoid feeling. And even some who do feel use feelings only as a support for that process of spinning the thoughts. The mind is used, the mind normally is used for thinking, feeling, sensing, and intuition. And, you know, Freud's, I've mentioned this before, but Freud's great discovery and what he really is acclaimed for was his discovery of the unconscious. And Jung's what he's really known for is the discovery of the collective unconscious. But these have been very important discoveries in helping us understand mind and consciousness. So much spiritual knowledge is just mental constructs, and it is not to be taken literally. But spiritual knowledge has to, because it doesn't really have a form. So it is, in order to be transmitted or spoken or written or communicated, mental constructs are used so that it can be communicated, but we have to be able to decode it and not take things literally. You know, there are people who read the Bible and take it literally. It is not meant to be taken literally. But when you are able to understand these writings and these teachings in the form that they are meant to be understood, it has a completely different effect on us. So, in fact, we need to use our heart and our intuition to, for instance, read very deep spiritual teachings. True spiritual teachings typically resonate at the level of heart if we're in the right consciousness to hear them. They will move us. They will really resonate at a heart level for us, and we will be moved. They resonate in a way that feels deeply satisfying, fulfilling, and uplifting, as opposed to a quick, distracting mental hit on the internet. So, is there anything anyone would like to? You've all been very quiet.
Yes, I have something to say.
Good.
Anyway, that's interesting, the power of the mind and the vibrations that we create to the atmosphere. I'm not sure if you've actually seen Sister Shivani. She came to Australia.
Yeah.
Yeah. I went to the center at 5 Dot, our headquarters of Brahma Kumaris.
Yeah.
And she actually mentioned, if we actually put water where we meditate and then we take that water, make tea, it's very powerful. That's like medicine. So just so amazing, this scientist or doctor has actually discovered that. And Yeah, it's the power that we put. Yeah.
She will have got it from that, I imagine.
Yes.
Because
yes.
the Indian gurus and philosophers were very, very, they all read Dr. Emoto, I think. You know, he made quite an impact during the 90s and 2000s. I think, was it the 90s? No, it was the 2000s, I think, that his first book came out. But, yeah, made quite an impact in India because I've heard gurus speak using that information. And so it just helps, I think, to really to understand this bhakti ritual of offering food and water.
Yeah.
Because when you cook in a loving state, a state of remembrance, say, of
like God conscious, a
God conscious state. Or just in a loving state, even
positive state,
positive, and you put those feelings into the food while it's cooking, gets cooked in, and then you offer it, which is what very popular thing that's done in India, as we know.
Yes.
Done in the temples, and they offer bhog. And so they cook the food, and then they take a little bit of the food. In some temples, they'll offer the whole pot, but in other places, they'll just take a bit of food and they'll, put it on in a little container and put it on a tray, etc. And then they offer that. And so if a little bit of the food is offered, the vibrational frequency of the entire pot also changes.
Yeah.
And that's why water is also offered, sometimes rose water or water. And Christians will offer wine, will use wine and holy water. And so, the interesting thing is that these rites and rituals, there is, science has proven that there is actually great validity in these practices, great scientific validity in these practices, because it does alter their molecular structure. It does really, really empower. The prayer and meditation really empowers the food and the water. And so to do that before we eat and drink can only really, really benefit us.
Correct. Thank you very much for sharing all that.
Mm.
And another amazing thing was about that the creek or the lake that was
yes,
full of algae and the power of the mind, just created that. Yeah, positive vibrations actually helps in the world.
It is. It's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that.
Mm.
And another thing is, if we can share that slide, if it is possible to us.
The slides?
That'll be beneficial.
Wouldn't I love to?
Maybe email it to us, please. It's okay.
Oh, yeah, I can email them.
Oh, that'll be great. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, so if any of you would like the slides, just drop me an email at, what's my email address? Judith Pemell at ymail, just the letter ymail.com. And I'll be very happy to send you the slides. You'll love them.
Thank you for that.
You're welcome. Anybody else? Any comments, questions? No. You're being very quiet, Lydia.
Yeah, go, Lydia.
What was that?
No, I've
I
been
said, go,
quiet because I
Lydia.
had a bit of disruption while you were talking. With one of my sons walked in and he was raving on, and I'm like trying to listen, and so I haven't really caught all of it tonight. That's my problem.
Oh, well, that's a great shame. But you can watch the recording if you so desire.
Yeah, most of it I caught, but there was a few things that I was like trying not to be rude.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, to him, I was like, hurry up, get out of the kitchen.
Oh, dear.
Good evening. This is Barbara here. Hi.
Hello, Barbara. Nice to see you.
Hi. Be nice to catch up with you after. I missed the talk yesterday. Sorry.
Oh, that's all right.
The other day. Yeah. Yesterday.
Yeah, no, that was
Yeah.
yesterday.
We'll talk. That was yesterday. It seems
was
like
the
a lot of
meeting.
it's
It was
happened.
it was the group meeting.
Yeah.
It was
That would be interesting to catch up with that.
Yeah, sure.
But talking about when you were talking about water and healing, there's it reminded me of Lourdes, and being a Catholic from tradition and birth and education, these sites were part of a pilgrimage. So of course I took my mother, or she took me, or we both took each other to these sites in Europe. And Lourdes was one of them, Fatima was another. And these places are imbibed with so much spiritual meaning, but like you're saying, the energetics of it are so powerful that people go there for healings, and there've been miraculous healings that no one can really explain, and they say, power of the mind. But when you think about it, there might be something in the fact that they all go and take the waters. So they will drink the waters and take the water with them, and they believe that there is power in that water. So it is across other religions and traditions.
Oh, yeah.
And what you're offering tonight is, like you have with a lot of your talks, is to go and research what science we have now to explain these phenomena.
Yeah.
So it's amazing and wonderful, and I just think if the world spent a little bit of time thinking about it, just thinking about such things will create a lot of positive energy fields. And everything is, as you're saying, about energy, but there's negative energy, there's positive energy. We put positive energy into the food, into water, into our environments. We certainly are creating that field within which we can effect some very powerful change. So yeah, very, very important subject for the world as it is at the moment. Yeah.
You know, after Dr. Emoto's book came out, you know, he created quite a stir, particularly among a lot of spiritual circles. You know, I think probably it's quite unusual for the holy people of India to take something that's Western terribly seriously, but they really took Dr. Emoto very seriously. They were all talking about what he was doing because, you know, as you said, Barbara, I mean, scientifically, he just backed up what the Indian yogis have known for eons and the things that they've been doing for eons. And and so people were very uplifted by that. And a friend of mine used to filter water, put it in containers, and put the words gratitude and so on these containers of water. and just let the water sit in these containers, for a few days before drinking the water. And I'm sure lots of people were doing it. And the thing is, when you've got a container of water with a word on it, like gratitude or love or whatever, every time you look at it, that's what you think. So you keep putting that feeling into the water, or that thought into the water. And it's like a constant reminder. And do you see what I have written up on my wall behind me? Can you read that?
Idol.
Idol, and above idol, you see?
Heart.
Yeah, and above that on the wall,
Oh, I've got to
Love.
make it bigger.
love.
Yes.
Yeah, love. Yeah. I think that, these just a really important idol is, it's actually a film I made, but poster from.
Is that what that is?
It's a prop from the film. It's just a prop, but I quite like it. So that's why it's there. But, it's putting these little cues, having these little cues around you at home. It's not a bad idea.
It's a great idea.
Little reminders,
Yeah.
putting gratitude on a container of water that you're going to drink. All of it's good. It's all good because it does go into the water.
Yeah. I also, could I share what I'm doing with my water after I filter it? I put it in the sun. And
Yep.
also before you drink the water in the morning, you hold it with 2 hands and your intention and the love that you're giving to that water, you're giving to yourself. And why you put that water to charge into the sun is because it's passing all the pipes in darkness and might be different energies and vibrations whilst the sun is clearing, energizing.
Yeah, and so, look, lesson number 1, don't put a bottle of water next to your computer and then drink it. It's not going to have it's going to have a terrible vibration, because the vibration from technology is really fragmented and chaotic. It's not a good vibration.
And maybe that's why it's saying not to use too much of the microwave as well.
Oh, microwaves really destroy the molecular structure of water. That's why he microwaved it. He proved it. And when you see the picture, you'll see what I mean. It's just absolutely destroyed. It's annihilated. Okay, so if there are no more questions or nothing.
One more comment. Just with the microwave, I think we shouldn't use it for cooking.
I won't have a microwave in my house.
Wow.
I was bequeathed, when my mother died, I was bequeathed her microwave and I threw it away.
Oh dear. I know our coordinator in the Blue Mountains, Nura, Sally. She never used microwave.
No.
She always heated the food in the pot or a fry pan. Yeah.
No, I won't have anything to do with the microwave either.
Thank you. Thank you for that.
Yeah. Okay, well, let us now forget about microwaves and think about the power of positive feeling and thinking, and remember that feelings come before thoughts. As are your feelings, so will be your thoughts. So our feelings and our thoughts are things, and they are very, very powerful. So let us just have a little meditation to finish with. And I'll just speak a few words. And just bring my consciousness into one point, allowing my awareness to shift away from the environment to the universe within me. And I withdraw into the unlimited spaciousness inside. And my energy concentrates into a tiny point. And then expands. For deep inside, I understand the universe, all the forces that influence everything. I have the power to change my vibrational frequency instantaneously. And as I move into the silence and the stillness, I feel the calm and peace and the love and bliss emanating from this point that is me. As I ease into the flow of energy, I experience just being. In the silence. Completely still. I feel my heart energy opening up pouring into the world, pouring into the atmosphere. I feel that healing love. Moving through me. Endlessly. Infinite. Like a great river. Emanating from my heart. I feel the love that is unlimited and endless. Just pouring through me into the physical and into all the dimensions, to every frequency. And into the matter. Around me. Moving out into the world. Through the dimension of silence. This very powerful dimension. The highest dimension of love and power. I am part of this dimension. I am part of everything in the universe. And this vibrational frequency emanating from me pulses through the universe. Healing and comforting those who are suffering. The nature. Shanti.